My lords, ladies and gentlemen, family, friends and colleagues, good evening and welcome. It's with a sense of pride, tempered with humility, that I stand before you, elected to become the 7th President of the Chartered Institute, the 54th President of the Institute proper, and the 113th President to hold this office since FCILEx founding organisation, the Solicitors Managing Clerks Association, was established in 1892. Firstly, I would like to thank those family members, friends and colleagues, past and present, some of whom are here this evening. Many have supported and encouraged me through studies, examinations, disappointments and eventual success, helping me to maintain my vision and determination. Others I have worked with have unknowingly inspired me. Thank you all. I grew up in South London, a child of parents who came to England from Jamaica in the 1950s. One of my earliest memories was of a photograph of my uncle, John Edwin Burke, dressed in his barrister's wig and his gown. He came over from Jamaica during the Second World War and joined the RAF. After the war, he trained at Middle Temple before practicing as a barrister in Nigeria. I found out recently that as a result of working on a significant case that later changed British law, he was invited to address the law lords in Parliament. After his session, one of the more elderly lords approached him and in a nasal voice said, "Mr. Burke, thank you for your interesting presentation, but I couldn't help but notice, towards the end, you seemed to pause, look around, and chuckle to yourself before you continued. Pray tell me, what did you find so amusing?" My uncle answered, "As I gazed around the room and saw you all sitting below, taking all those notes, I found it ironic that not so long ago, I was a little black boy growing up on Malines Road in Kingston, Jamaica. Who would have guessed then that one day I'd be standing in front of the Empire's lawmakers as a black man advising them on their own law?" My uncle died 4 years ago, aged 92. A couple of months ago, I appeared before the Lords to discuss the importance of judicial diversity, and I looked around, seeing peers making notes on what I was saying, and felt my Uncle John would be proud. But as a child, I knew nothing of his experience. All I had was a photograph of him in a wig and a gown, and that photograph is what made me want to be a lawyer. Seeing that image made me feel I could do the same. If you can see it, you can be it. The importance and power of visible role models. I had no idea, however, of how to go about achieving this ambition, but one of the leaders of my church youth group, who also happened to be an accountant at Freshfield Solicitors, suggested that I become a legal executive. I had never heard of legal executives, but his suggestion was a lifeline for me. At the time, working with a legal firm was a prerequisite for studying with what was then the Institute of Legal Executives. Within a few weeks of leaving school, I started work as a junior secretary with a firm of solicitors in King's Bench Walk, Temple. My plan was to stay in that firm forever and do every type of law, and that's how my journey began. It was a good decision because as a secretary I was privy to and absorbed everything that lawyers I worked for did. The telephone conversations, who said what and why, discussions about case law, legal arguments put to counsel and advice and opinions received from counsel. FCILEx offered me a route to qualify as a lawyer that I would not have had access to via any other branch of the profession. And that is still true today. A recent article in the Times highlighted the recent cost of the legal practice course and the bar professional training course and the barrier that cost is presenting to people qualifying as lawyers. This is important because FCILEx doesn't ask for an extra £15,000 for an LPC. We don't ask for an extra £19,000 for a BPTC. We don't make you fork out £9,000 a year in university fees. No, all in all, you can qualify as a lawyer with FCILEx for less than 10,000. But that's not all. You get to earn while you learn with FCILEx, taking home a wage. And 60% of FCILEx members had their employer contribute to the cost of qualifying, either in part or in full. You can actually get paid to become a lawyer with FCILEx and qualify in a flexible and accessible way. I consider myself to be a very good example of what FCILEx does very well, which is allowing people from diverse backgrounds who wouldn't otherwise be able to become lawyers to have access to the legal profession. And I'll tell you why FCILEx is special. The roots of the legal executive go back more than 100 years. Known as managing clerks, one of our most famous alumni was Charles Dickens, a solicitor's clerk who drew on his experiences for characters in his novels. The tides of time are now turning in our favour. There was a time when legal executive was seen merely as a means of support within a law firm, albeit a valuable form of support. But now, chartered legal executives can do so much more. They are now the independent lawyers and specialists that clients turn to. They are now the supervisors, the managers, the department heads that law firms rely on. They are now the thought leaders and partners helping to build a future for their businesses, including many in large city firms, even in the top 40. They are now aspiring to be judges of the future. Speaking of the future, there is no doubt that Brexit will enormously influence the work of our legal profession. We at FCILEx will be working with the Justice Secretary and his ministerial team to ensure that FCILEx services are explicitly considered in future agreements, that information sharing on justice and security measures continues, and that the recognition of laws, regulations, and legal practitioners are suitably protected and updated. For me, the importance beyond Brexit is the future recognition of the practice rights of legal professionals and lawyers. And that, whatever agreement is achieved with the EU and in other trade deals to come, that they should be updated to reflect the role that chartered legal executives can play in the delivery of international legal services. It is fitting that we're here at the Clothworkers' Hall tonight. Those of you who know anything about the clothing industry know how important it is to have a good foundation garment, as it makes what you wear over it look good and is best. FCILEx has always served as the foundation that introduces people, especially those from diverse backgrounds, into the funnel that feeds the legal profession. There are numerous solicitors, plenty of barristers, and more than a few judges who started out their career with FCILEx. They are evidence that FCILEx provides a good foundation for a career in law. We need more black, Asian and minority ethnic people in the law. We need more people from working class backgrounds in the law. We need people in the law who have varied life experiences, who maybe want a second career coming into the law. The profession is richer and more representative of the population it serves because these groups have access to it. The reason that the judiciary are pushing for more FCILEx members to become judges is not just because they are increasingly recognising that FCILEx lawyers are actually very good lawyers, but also because they recognise the importance of a judiciary which is diverse, a judiciary which reflects the people it serves. It is also good for social integration, that there isn't one class who have the opportunity to be lawyers and another class who don't. Social integration matters, social mobility matters, representation at all levels matters, because without it we see distrust in our institutions and in the rule of law itself, as we have seen with recent events. Community cohesion, opportunity, hope and aspiration, all these things are important, as is confidence that the law includes those that the public at large can identify with, a judiciary that individual members of the public can identify with, who they feel will not make negative assumptions about them because of their identity or social background. Our members have a bright future, bright because of the efforts of the 112 presidents who have come before me, as well as many, many others, each achieving progress bit by bit. This has inspired the theme for my year as President: progression in the profession. Progression in expanding the career prospects of our members, more independent practice rights, more FCILEx entities, more partners and more judges. Progression in the recognition of FCILEx as the first choice for legal education and qualifications and recognition of chartered legal executives. Progression for aspiring practitioners regardless of their diversity or background. Progression in the modernisation of our industry and the new opportunities that FCILEx members are uniquely placed to fill. Progression in advancing access to justice and protecting the rights and freedoms of everyone. But we will not achieve this alone. And I want to emphasise how much I and FCILEx value you, our partners. We will work with all of you in partnership because we are about service. Serving the community, serving our members, and serving the public. Thank you for being here this evening. I look forward to working with you all over the coming year. Enjoy the food, enjoy the company, enjoy the evening. Thank you.